use on all of our shows to help raise your climate IQ. Each quarter this year, we will also be hosting free climate events in various communities throughout the city with food, fun, and forward-thinking conversations. Thanks to partners like LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, the Sierra Club, the California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, AQMD, MWD, and more. You'll also be hearing more about a couple of national town halls broadcasting live from Los Angeles, to which you will be invited. And we'll be rolling out a robust social media campaign on all our platforms, as well as an outdoor media campaign, all designed to educate, enlighten, and empower you in our fight for climate justice.
We want cleaner air.
Caring about the community means caring about the climate. At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that we really can change the world if we care enough. 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 If we care enough.
First things first.
Things first, it's the DU General, Money P. I'ma put you up on the schedule. 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not too uncertain. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the move. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis. Go sis.
First things first.
KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. The show is called First Things First. And my first thing today and every day, giving thanksgiving, praises, asking for blessings from God, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders. And let's go, let's go, let's go. If I haven't said it before, Ramadan Mubarak. So many of our KBLA delegation fasting, praying, and observing these holy days for the Muslim community. And you know, I am nothing if not interfaith. All walks of life, all belief systems, even the agnostics and the those non-believers, you're welcome here. This is about conversation. It's not about spiritual, political, well, maybe some political gangbanging, but not the spiritual variety. And I celebrate with you. 800-920-1580. Y'all know that's how you get in if you want to have a conversation. The structure around here is the first hour, we typically look at what's going on locally, left coast, you know, the Pacific side of town. Hour two, we go national, international, and beyond. And in the third hour, we do a deep dive with a person or persons of interest. And today we are mostly all about that. We are going to be having our first official Climate is King, climate justice conversation this hour. That's coming up. Looking forward to it. Water is something that we are going to be talking, thinking, and strategizing a lot more in the coming decade. It's, what is it? They say water is the new oil. Well, I think that is the truth, and we're going to find out a little bit more as we get into it. We are, as you know, in the midst of a year-long initiative to really focus on climate justice so we can, what is it Tavis says, raise our climate IQ? That's what we're doing today. Then hour two, open it up, wide open for you on a Talking Point Tuesday. What talking points would you like to disabuse us of, annihilate, ameliorate, or uplift? 800-920-1580. We can do that. We will do that. We'll take a look at what's happening on the national landscape. And then hour three, we are joined by two very special guests. And our topic is going to be human trafficking. Now, some of y'all remember that I promised this show, and some of y'all have even been on my case. Where is the show we were promised? Well, it is here today, and we're going to be focused on what is happening with human trafficking, specifically here in Southern California, but certainly the lessons and the conversation applied here will have national implications. We will be joined by LA City Attorney Heidi Feldstein Soto and Deputy Chief of the LAPD, Amada Tingarides. They're going to let us know what they've been working on as far as overcoming the sexual exploitation of children in these streets. And you know, if you live in South LA, if you've driven down Figueroa, Jefferson, a few other corridors, as they call them, you know what's happening. But there are some unique measures being taken, and I know that the way we look at human trafficking, the way we approach these situations is changing, and our mindset is changing. So we'll get up to date on that. It's a full show, and I'm really glad that you're here with me. We continue to track, some of what's going on with the election, because as you know, the consequences, what is the saying is elections have consequences. Some of those consequences are unforeseen. Some of them are things we predicted, and some of them are things we don't even know yet, but we're about to find out. We do know that State Senator Dave Min has survived the primary election as a Democrat in Orange County. He is looking to be in the spot that Katie Porter held. Many people, myself included, were disappointed that Congresswoman Porter didn't hold that spot, because it's Orange County and it's never a given that we can keep it blue. Orange County, red, sometimes purple. I know many of y'all like to argue that Orange County is now blue or purple, but it's not reliably so. And so the loss of Katie Porter in that seat, as she ran for Senate, and of course that's her right, but we will miss her in the Congress, left that seat open. And so Dave Min has made it through, even though he was the subject of a really withering attack ad campaign. He will go on to the November general election, and he will be going against, surprise, surprise, a Republican, Scott Baugh, who is a Republican stalwart. He's been a party official, and he is someone who came within a hair of beating Katie Porter last time. So this is a race. If you've got some free time to volunteer, a few extra bucks, if you want to do some phone banking, door knocking, if you're concerned about how California impacts the balance of power in the House of Representatives, this is a seat to watch, and certainly one to assist, even if you don't live there. And that's not cheating. That's called looking at the national landscape. It is true that California may have an outsized impact on whether or not Democrats are able to gain control of the U.S. House of Representatives, which would be a great thing in 2024, especially since we are facing the real possibility of having he who shall not be named, a.k.a. the Orange Menace, a.k.a. Agent Orange, back in the White House. Now, I don't think that will happen, but it could. And I was wrong in 2016. And if he is in there, who knows? If he's a dictator, maybe, Congress doesn't even matter. But it's worth a shot. It would be nice to have Democratic control of both houses of Congress, if it's possible, in 2024, to stave off what Project 2025 says they will do, to the extent that it can be staved off. In any case, this is one piece of the puzzle. State Senator Dave Min, he is going up against a hardcore, well-connected Republican who will be very amply funded, and I think it's an important seat. So I'm going to keep reminding us. He's a Korean American, which is actually very helpful because, as you may know, there's a there's quite a substantial number of Asian Americans that live in Orange County in that district, but many of them are conservative. So it'll be interesting to see whether the quest for representation can override some conservative tendencies among certain Asian American voters. I'm not trying to broad stroke anybody, but we know that there's a considerable conservative element in that broader community. And we should see. How he does. But certainly this is someone to watch. Apparently he he had some scandals, but they all have scandals. By they, I'm talking about politicians, and it's all about, whether or not they have the money, the pockets deep enough to put that stuff in your face and spin. It's interesting that his opponent was a woman, and she was backed by Emily's List, but his Democratic opponent, but she still didn't win there. It'll be interesting to see whether Democrats fall in line behind me, and I believe we will. Apparently, he had a drunk driving scandal last year, but still made it through. And interesting, there is AIPAC went against this particular Asian American candidate, Dave Min. According to Politico.com, it's not clear why, but they did. And he got help from SEIU, which is a big old union here in California, and he did get the state Democratic Party endorsement, as well as that of Katie Porter, who ran against him in 2018. So that's shaping up to be one of the key races that we have to look to in November. The other thing I'm realizing, I don't like to talk a lot about he who shall not be named, because I do think the media made mistakes in 2016 and helped elect this man by giving him too much extra time, earned media, as they call it, to just pontificate. But I'm realizing now that we are going to have to address this, because there does seem to be somewhat, no matter how slight, a surge of support for the man, who has been called the ultimate gangster, in a sense, on this show. And we have to push back and make sure that people understand the real world impact of electing the 45th president, re-electing him to be the 47th president. You're up here in platitudes talking about, how you think he's this, or you think he's that, or he's better than Biden because of this, that, and the third. But you're not really paying attention to the actual day-to-day, impact. The amount of black seniors who will see their Social Security checks cut or disappeared, as Trump has now said outright that he is open to cutting or changing Social Security, which is one of the big to-do list items for Republicans, just like getting rid of your right to control your own body was one of their big to-do list items, which Donald Trump helped them to accomplish. Trust and believe, he will help them to accomplish the end of Social Security, the erosion of Social Security. And if you are realistically looking at what most Black and Latino seniors rely on so that they're not actually on the curb, Social Security is what it is. So if you got a granny, an auntie, an uncle, or an elder, OG of any type, original griot of any type, that you give a crap about, then you've got to not vote for DJT, no matter how you think cool you think the First Step Act is, or his, formerly naked model wife is. Put it down, because basically you're voting to starve Granny. I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but that's what it is. We got to get down to what it really is and stop talking in platitudes and talking points that don't even make sense when you get down to how it actually affects children and elders on the ground to tomorrow. 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DiPrima for Unapologetically Progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward. We've got a lot to talk about.
Race, culture wars, political turf battles, criminal justice and injustice, the courts. These are the conversations you won't hear elsewhere. My guests are leading journalists, celebrities, and sports figures, elected leaders, and influencers. They aren't afraid to get into it and say the quiet part out loud. With Ariva Martin in real time, your commute just became the most engaging part of your day. Tune in weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. or find us on YouTube. Ariva Martin in real time, when you want it straight, no chaser.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
You can do it all by yourself, baby girl. What's your name? Let me talk to you. Let me buy you a drink.
Spilled your drink? Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up spills quicker. And each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less than the leading ordinary brand. So you can get back to your night.
Buy you a drink.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Getting your biggest tax refund from Jackson Hewitt can lead to some spirited reactions.
Jackson Hewitt!
Jackson Hewitt is so sure they'll get you your biggest refund that if they don't, you get your money back plus $100.
Jackson Hewitt!
Switch to Jackson Hewitt and we'll beat what you paid last year, even if you filed online.
Yeah!
Ain't nothing to it. Switch to Jackson Hewitt and pay less for tax prep, guaranteed. Proof of prior year payment required when filing. New clients only at participating locations through April 7th. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
KBLA Talk 1580 is the fastest growing talk radio station in Southern California. Home to 50,000 watts and an audience reach of 12 million listeners. KBLA Talk 1580 is a pioneer for black audio content, including our groundbreaking $2 million climate justice campaign and the most loyal, influential audience. According to an independent research study by the polling firm Aviterus, for the second consecutive year, KBLA Talk 1580 is the most trustworthy, reliable, and credible news source for black audiences and beyond in Southern California. Let KBLA Talk 1580 power your advertising dollars. Our omni-channel custom marketing solutions are specifically tailored to connect with your ideal target audience. We leverage audio, podcasts, streaming, digital, social media, and local activations to get your message out to the black community. Get in touch with our advertising team today at advertising@kbla1580.com. That's advertising at kbla1580.com. KBLA 1580. We've got your black. Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Right now, we have a great show on tap for you today. And like I said, we will be talking with Krista Guerrero as we launch on this program our series of conversations around climate justice. And then in the third hour of the show, we'll be talking to LA City Attorney Heidi Feldstein Soto, and LAPD Deputy Chief Imada Tingarides will be focused on human trafficking. They'll be live in the studio, as will Guerrero, and inviting you, as always, to join us for Freedman Fridays. It's something we do every Friday around here in the second hour of the show, the 7 a.m. hour. And then the 8 o'clock hour, we flip our format and we open up the phone lines for you to talk about whatever is on your mind. We'll be talking with Moya this week and looking forward to that conversation as well. I feel like you guys are really doing a great job in keeping the momentum going, the conversation going around the issue of reparations. And that is something we need to do every single day, because California is driving this conversation. And it's more than a conversation, but talking about it has to be part of it, because it needs to be normalized, as Dick Gregory said so many years ago, but also because we need to we need to educate ourselves and each other. We need to be smarter about it. We need to know what's already been done, what the schools of thought are, how, far back this goes, which, by the way, is all the way to before emancipation, right? Black people have been working on reparations since before emancipation. In fact, my heroes of women's history would include Cali House, who is a woman who was one of the original reparationists. And she, she went all across the country trying to recruit people to something called the National Ex-Slave Mutual Relief Bounty and Pension Association. So, she was actually campaigning for reparations during the 1890s, I believe, 1880s. I might be off a little bit on the date, but the point is we've been at this a long time, and part of what we have to do is do a better job of talking about it. So, she was born in 1861, but they're not sure because she was enslaved, and the records are not exact. But that's why we do this every Friday. We do it every Friday because we need to be more informed. Any of us who feel that we are for reparations, or even if you're actually a person who is against it for some reason, a black person, or who isn't clear about it, if you can make time to go to oag.ca.gov, oag.ca.gov, that's Office of the Attorney General. That is where the California's groundbreaking reparations task force was housed, in the Office of the Attorney General. There is a 60-page summary there of what the task force found, what they recommended after 2 years of serious labor that they put in. And now the first steps have been put in place to move forth legislation. Some of us, and by some of us I mean me right now, but some of us really means most of us. Almost everyone I talked to was disappointed that there was no direct cash legislation there, although Senator Bradford's bill to set aside 6% of incoming rainy day fund budget monies for reparations programs is a start. That's a start. That's an important start. I think we need to lobby for that. Nevertheless, there is no program, there is no bill to create a program for direct reparations. And so that is another reason why, that doesn't mean nothing is being done. Yes, some things are being done. One of the bills that's been put forth among the 14 official, and then the two others that were created by Senator Steve Bradford, the one to create the Freedmen's Bureau and the other one to, I just talked about, set aside those funds from the rainy day monies. Some of them are in the process of being written. Some of them are ready and are in the process of being lobbied for, because they're going to have to get enough votes in the Assembly and then enough votes in the state Senate, and then they would have to be signed by the governor to become law. But us educating ourselves, and you know what I love, I think it was 2 weeks ago on Freedman Friday, Chris Lodgson was on the show. CJEC is one of the reparations organizations that worked to help organize around the community engagement piece of the California Task Force work. On their YouTube, which is CJEC Official, I think, on YouTube, they actually have people reading the 1,200-page version of that report. So you can go, if you're not a person that likes to read, you can actually just listen to it on YouTube. You can listen on your phone while you're walking around. I love that. I think it is so smart. And if you have time to read on your own, that is amazing too, because we've got to educate ourselves so we can educate our families. And, instead of talking about the Real Housewives of the Sloss and Swap Meet, we can talk about reparations, or maybe you can weave it in. I mean, I'm not hating on your Real Housewives. Look, I binged watched the entire season 6 of Love is Blind. I confess. I'm not saying I spend all my time poring over, reparation studies. Sometimes you need to unplug and have that junk food for your brain. And by the way, once Women's History Month is over, we will return to Messy Mondays. We took a break from that. We do Messy Mondays, which is all about situationships and relationship rules and such. We'll bring it back next month. It's typically the third Monday of every month, but I put it on pause for the election, and then we said, we're going to keep it on pause for Women's History Month, but we're bringing it back because we need some mess in our lives. That said, maybe you can weave in between whether or not Chelsea actually looks like Megan Fox. You can weave in, the basic foundational principles of reparations, the work that's already been done. I've been talking to people that still think it's a complete pipe dream and don't even realize that the California state legislature spent 2 years working on studying the impact of not just enslavement, but all of the badges and harms that are directly descended from the enslavement of Black people in America. All of the outcomes of Jim Crow, which is, the offspring of enslavement. So once having those conversations, I realized that all of us have a part to play in this. No, Chelsea doesn't look like Megan Fox. And did you know that there are currently 16 bills going through the legislature in California that could bring, some of them are trash. I'm not going to lie. Some of them are trash. I agree. Some of them ain't even reparations, but some of them would represent real progress. And some of them aren't trash. They're just not reparations. So go ahead and pass them, but don't call them reparations. But there are some real substantive things. I am one of the people that believes a formal apology is a good thing. That's one of the proposals because it helps make the case for harm. You've admitted to it. And I think creating a Freedmen's Bureau is a good idea, as is setting aside money from the rainy day fund. So there's some money somewhere to get us started. 800-920-1580 if you want to weigh in. But we're doing Climate is King when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Nearly 1,000 Americans have reached out to the State Department for help in Haiti, where gang violence has plunged the nation into chaos. A State Department spokesperson says people have been filling out crisis intake forms online as the U.S. tries to get people out on chartered flights. Not all of the people who filled out a form are trying to leave, but many are, and the government continues to evaluate transportation options. Prices on Tesla's best-selling vehicles are going up again. The company's website says the Model Y SUV, Tesla's most popular model, will cost about $1,000 more as of April 1st in the U.S. It's the latest of several pricing adjustments this year. In February, prices were cut in order to boost midwinter sales. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Why settle for ordinary when you can have extraordinary hair? Visit your local SoCal FS Cut and Color salon today and let their team of expert stylists pamper you with affordable luxury. Get a free shampoo with every cut. Book your appointment today at fantasticsands.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers rode to an easy win over Atlanta last night at Crypto. They won by 31, their largest victory margin of the season. D'Angelo Russell had 27 points and 10 assists. LeBron had 25 and 10 assists. The Lakers moved up to 9th place in the Western Conference standings. They are 2.5 games behind Phoenix for the 8th and final playoff spot. The Lakers have 13 games left in the regular season. Something is wrong with the Clippers. They are 1-4 in their last 5 games and lost by 17 at home Sunday night to Atlanta. The Clippers have 15 games remaining in the regular season season to get things in order before the playoffs. USC star Juju Watkins was named ESPN's National Freshman of the Year in women's college basketball. The Compton native finished second in Player of the Year voting to Iowa's Caitlin Clark. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Oh, this cold.
Honey?
Honey?
Honey, you need DayQuil Severe Honey.
DayQuil Severe Honey gives you powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a honeylicious taste, because life doesn't stop for a cold.
Okay, I'm ready to go.
No, I'm getting a cold.
Honey.
Try DayQuil Severe Honey for powerful cold and flu relief. DayQuil Severe with honey flavor. The daytime coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, honeylicious, power through your day medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
When you're young, life is full of choices. Don't let opioids like highly addictive and deadly fentanyl take away your life with just one wrong pill. Addiction is a disease that can affect anyone at any age. But there is a choice to get help for this disease. Find medically proven treatment options, including virtual, at choosemat.org.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, a Pfizer vaccine.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Climate is king. It's time to raise your climate IQ, as Mr. Smiley would say. And joining me in the studio, a woman who has over 20 years of experience in the drinking water space. She has a bachelor's degree from Cornell University, a master's from University of Florida, and she's got experience in source water protection, stormwater management, water efficiency, and water resource management. She specializes in outdoor conservation and water policy. If all of these things are going in one ear and out the other, then good. Pay attention, because these are things that we are going to be hearing more and more about, and actually need to know a bit more about. She's a resource specialist for the Metropolitan Water District. Krista Guerrero, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you in. It's something we can't live without, but don't pay much attention to.
That's very, very true. I think once the water comes out of your tap, that's as far as it goes in most people's minds. But we do a lot of work behind the scenes to get it there.
Yeah, I mean, and I think in California especially, but this is, probably increasingly true nationwide, we are quick to freak out when we have, restrictions on our water. You can only water on these days, but the rest of the time we don't really think about it. But it's something we are going to have to be thinking more and more about if we are really serious about climate justice, right?
Absolutely. I think you really hit the nail on the head. People think about drought and water efficiency and climate change when we are in droughts and we're seeing the restrictions and it's all in the news. But as soon as the latest drought is over, everyone sort of just goes back to status quo. But in California, particularly in Southern California, efficiency, conservation, and caring about climate change are status quo, right? Those are things that we should be thinking about all the time, not just when it's in the news.
Right. So when you say efficiently, what does that mean? Using water efficiently?
So really being careful about how we use our water, how much of it we use at a certain time for different activities. There are still so many simple changes people can make in and outside their homes and their businesses to use water efficiently. Still talk about turning off the water when you're brushing your teeth or shaving. There's lots of really fun ones. Like I tell my children to their empty or their leftover water that they're done with to put in our dog dish or throw it outside on the grass. So we're not just dumping it down the sink. There's all these little tricks that really help us on a daily basis just live efficient lifestyles.
I mean, that may not turn your grass green to dump the water on it, but it would save that resource. And one of the things we hear about with drought is that, we get rain and then we're like, oh, it's over. But there's more to it than that, right? Because there's something called groundwater that we need, right?
Right. So some parts of Southern California, they get water, not just from Metropolitan, where we import the water from Northern California and from the Colorado River, but they also get water from the groundwater. And that is a finite resource like everything else. There's only so much to go around. Certainly a lot of the agriculture in Central Valley uses a lot of groundwater as well. And we need that for food production. So that's important. Everyone needs to eat. So it becomes, how do we share this finite resource? And how, again, do we make sure that we're only using as much as we need and no more?
Okay, so you have something called the tree rebate, and that's for people that are part of something called the turf replacement program. Explain what that is. I think there's a lot of weird conversations going on about replacing lawns and also trees in communities.
Right, absolutely. We're really excited about the tree rebate, but I'll back up and start with our turf replacement program. So one of the biggest uses of water in a home and also in a lot of businesses as well, but especially at a home, is outdoor use, right? Just the water we put on our grass to keep it green and irrigate, particularly in the summer when it gets really hot and the grass maybe starts to turn a little yellow or brown and people get nervous and they crank up the irrigation even more. So it's a big use of water in Southern California in a place where we don't really have that kind of water to spare. And if you look back at the history of California, there wasn't really turf grass here. It's
a desert.
Right.
Let's be real. It's a desert.
Right, exactly. So there's a lot of native plants that are much more suited for here, that have been here for thousands of years, and don't require that same intense water use that the turf grass requires. So the turf replacement program is really this idea of, let's take out this turf grass that really wasn't meant to be here in the first place and uses way too much water, and replace it with what we call California friendly landscaping, which is really this idea of native plants and like mulch and stormwater capture and really creating these sort of mini watersheds in people's homes that collect water, that use it efficiently, and also have these beautiful landscapes.
Right. And probably save on your water bill. I'm just guessing.
Yes, absolutely. I have one in my own home and my irrigation is completely off. So right now, because we're in California's version of a rainy season, I don't have to irrigate at all, right? My native plants are happy as can be with just the rain that falls out of the sky, and I'm getting birds and butterflies and all sorts of beautiful creatures around my home. So I love it. But what we realized as we've been doing this program for a very long time is that we really needed to focus more on adding trees to Southern California, right?
Mm-hmm.
The urban tree canopy is so important, and some areas have beautiful green trees.
I'm laughing because I live in South LA, and I don't understand why they cut my trees down to little twigs every year. It's like, wow, there was shade. It was so pretty, and now they're just twigs. But I know that that is one of the places where the issue of climate justice really shows up.
Absolutely.
Because the wealthier the community, the more lush and green and tree covered it seems to be.
Right. And so Metropolitan is really focused on adding to the tree canopy, particularly in the areas like you're talking about, where there just aren't as many, right? It's not as lush, it's not as green. And we want to make sure that we're part of the process of changing that. So we've added a tree rebate to our turf replacement program. So if you're going to go in and replace your grass and put in these beautiful landscapes, if you also put in a tree, we will give you an extra incentive just for that tree, right? So we're pushing people to consider adding trees. The incentive itself is for 5 trees as maximum. And it's $100 per tree. So $500 extra dollars to plant trees in your yard, to cool your home, to clean your air, and just add all of those wonderful tree benefits and green your city.
That's awesome. And I know that you guys also help people figure out that transition, right?
Mm-hmm, we do.
From the thirsty lawn to the natural sort of native plants.
Absolutely. We have a ton of resources on our website, bewaterwise.com, on how you can, make those changes. What are the best plants to choose for your area? How do you take out your grass? How do you put new? We have tons of how-tos, videos, explanations. And then now with our tree rebate, we have a recommended tree list. So you can actually look at, these are our superstar trees.
I love that, a recommended tree list. Okay.
I love all trees. I love all plants, but I will be honest, not all created equal in terms of the benefits that they can provide. So we have our superstars on this list of, if you're going to pick a tree, pick one of these and plant it, and you're going to see the benefits for years to come. We also have an exclusion list. So as I said, not all trees created equal. There are certain trees that, while beautiful and, have their own benefits, don't really achieve that climate change action that we're looking for. They don't provide those benefits.
The toxic trees list.
But not so toxic.
Okay. But I mean, do we have trees that are problematic, like invasive kind of? I mean, I know we love to import stuff that may not really fit in this terrain.
Absolutely. There are definitely invasive trees. There's a website, the Invasive Plant Council, actually, it's called CalIPC, that we link to from our website so that you can look up what those invasive trees are and make sure you don't plant them. We also have trees on the list that we talk about as, they're not necessarily, bad in any way, but they're maybe more flammable, more prone to fire, more prone to pests, things like that. So considerations people probably want to make before they plant
Those
them.
are really important things to know. If the tree's going to come with pests,
right,
that's not something that you want. And so as a homeowner in South LA, I see a lot of people making those changes, and I know that a lot of people are also resistant to it. At one point, I was looking around, and I still have a lawn. So at one point, I was looking around. I was like, if I was the emperor, I would just say, no more lawns. Like, even mine. Like, we're tearing them all out, and then we'll help you figure it out. Because especially in the height of the drought, it's like, how can we afford this? People will die if they don't drink water. And I'm not saying we're on the brink of death, but there are actual, places in the world where they're actually running out of water, cities. I remember when Cape Town was on the verge of that. Mm-hmm. Now Mexico City. And so in LA, although we're not there yet, we could in the future be a candidate for that. So I'm like, how can we afford to be so cavalier about our water?
And to be honest, I think we're actually closer to that, or have been closer to that, than people realize. During our last drought, something we called a historic drought, it was the worst one that we'd had. And parts of Los Angeles were very close to running out of water. We were on very severe water restrictions because of how little water we were getting from the State Water Project, which is what brings water from Northern California. So certainly it was in the news and we were getting that message out there, but I don't think that people fully grasped how close we really were in certain parts of Los Angeles to running out of water.
Yeah, it's time for us to stop taking it for granted. You know, if you want to take your significant other for granted, that's up to you. But I really don't think we cannot afford to take water for granted. And I'm so glad you're here to raise our consciousness on this. Climate is King. We continue the conversation with Krista Guerrero when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. Visit jpmorganchase.com/racial equity and get the tools to help reach your financial goals.
In the heart of California, where innovation thrives, access to high-speed internet is important to every family and business. Cal Broadband is the state's leading expert in the development and deployment of broadband infrastructure. Each day, we work to help advance the right policies that will expand the opportunities of reliable, high-speed internet to every community in our Golden State. Cal Broadband is working hard to connect California. Visit calbroadband.org for more information. That's calbroadband.org.
Do you have both Medi-Cal and Medicare?
If so, the new LA Care plan called Medicare Plus can help you get the most out of your health plan for $0.
LA Care provides personalized service to Angelinos like us.
Plus, it gives us access to doctors and specialists across Los Angeles County.
For zero cost, we get access to full benefits.
From vision coverage,
in-home support services,
to prescription drug coverage,
and a quarterly over-the-counter allowance,
plus personal equipment,
meal programs,
a gym membership,
and so much more.
For more than 25 years,
LA Care has provided Angelinos with access to quality health care at an affordable cost.
For our families,
our seniors,
our community,
it's a plus.
It's a plus
for all of us.
You're gonna feel a puff of air.
Zhang's Optometry has set their sights on staffing up.
Try the next line. Hey, Kim, can you tell our 2 o'clock we're running 15 behind? Sorry, we're a bit backed up today.
He needs an optometric technician to keep an eye on it all.
Where are the dilation drops?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
Hey. We are talking with Krista Guerrero. We are on a year-long mission to raise our level of knowledge and our level of consciousness around climate, and particularly climate justice. Krista Guerrero is a resource specialist with the Metropolitan Water District, and they are doing a lot. Obviously, water is your thing, and water is a key piece of the puzzle when we talk about the preservation. I mean, it's, telling that when scientists look on other planets for life, the first thing they look for is water, because if there is not water, there can't be life as we know it.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, that's super basic. Now, when we talk about, changing our lawns, changing our landscaping so that it is using less water, we think about that in relation to drought, but connect the dots for me in terms of why that matters for our environment.
So that's a really good question, and I'm glad that you've asked that. When we talk about creating these different landscapes, and especially now adding trees, right? There are so many benefits to native plants and stormwater capture and trees themselves that you now get to bring into your home, essentially, right? To your normal environment that you're in on a regular basis. So when we talked about the landscapes, we always talk about creating habitat and how we are bringing back the natural flora and fauna of California and putting it back where it belongs, essentially. But then when we talk about adding trees, now we're talking about cleaning the air and urban cooling, which is really important, particularly in Los Angeles,
and
right?
it's going to get more and more important.
Yes.
Honestly, when I bought my home, I didn't need air conditioning. Now I am saving up for it. right?
Right? Or you could
it's
plant
getting
some
hotter.
trees.
It's just hotter. Well, I planted a couple, but I could do more. So now I'm going to go look at your list because I don't want pests. But what you said, cleaning the air, obviously they make oxygen.
Right. So the trees on our recommended list, we did a lot of research into these trees. When we say we recommend them, there are very clear-cut reasons as to why. Obviously, because we are metropolitan and we're focused on water, the big one is that these are mostly very low water use trees. But in general, trees actually use a lot less water than other plants because once they're established and they're there for you and they're in the ground, they really don't need a lot of supplemental irrigation to keep going, right? You give them water in the beginning so that they can get their roots down and get comfortable where they are. But after that, they sort of run on their own. So overall, having trees is way more water efficient than having almost any other plant.
So when you talk about water reclamation, how does this lawn replacement, turf replacement, and trees, how does that tie in? Because when we see these big storms and we're constantly hearing a story about how it's all running off into the ocean and carrying pollutants, don't go to the beach, but we really didn't get much water out of that. Is that something that individuals should be trying to do? Is that something that our water systems are doing a better job of? Talk about water reclamation.
Absolutely. Metropolitan and our partner water agencies, the local water agencies, that you would pay your water bill to, are all putting in a lot of effort into stormwater capture and making sure that we are, when it does rain here in Southern California, which we know isn't often, but when it does, that we are grabbing as much of that water as possible and storing it. And what's great about the turf replacement program and adding trees in particular is that you are essentially helping us with that mission. Right? So you create your own mini reclamation system in your yard. I have what's called a swale, which basically is just a big depression in my yard. And when it rains, it fills up. And that water sits there and then it slowly, percolates down into the ground and it waters my plants for me. So for at least a month, usually after it rains, I don't have to water any of my plants because I have captured that water. So I am adding to that water reclamation on top of all the work that my local water agency is doing and Metropolitan is doing as well.
So reclamation is like a built-in irrigation system for that turf replacement.
Absolutely.
And of course, we can find out more about this stuff at bewaterwise.com. Sounds like there's links to a lot of other great information as well.
We have a ton of resources, not just the tree lists, but also a tree guide. So if you want to plant that tree yourself and take care of it and all of that, we have a guide that will take you through it step by step.
That's amazing. Not recently, but when my child was little, he did not want me to replace the lawn. He was like, it's going to be prickly, it's going to be ugly, I'm not going to be able to roll around on it.
We hear that a lot. I think plant selection is key. I have children as well. And what I always like to say is I said we should shrink wrap our lawns. So if you have pets, if you have young children that want to play on it, you don't have to get rid of all of the grass, right? Keep a small area so that they can do that. But certainly you don't need the whole thing.
Right.
Right. And there are so many beautiful, not prickly California native plants that you can put in its place. And we have some really beautiful pictures on our website as well for inspiration.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds funny, but it is funny. But, as a mom, you're just like, you know what? I'm not fighting this battle. Keep the lawn.
I have to tell you, I have seen some really creative solutions to that. I have seen gardens with they've planted a tree and put a little table underneath for the kids to play at. They've created little clubhouses. You could get really creative for your kids when you do this change.
It's a good idea. And when folks can get rebates when they make this big change, right? And so talk to me about that. How does it work?
So the turf replacement rebate, our base rebate, what Metropolitan provides, is $2 a square foot. But there are many of our local water retailers who add money to that as well. And so if you go on our website, you can go at BeWaterWise and then it'll link you to the application. There's actually an Estimate My Rebate portal where you can put in your address and it'll tell you exactly how much you'll be getting for your project based on where you live. So we try to be as clear with that as possible.
When when people do turf replacement, do they typically do front and backyard, or just the front, or both, or just the back? Or
it depends on the person. Most of the time, we get a lot of front yards because that is space that people don't usually use, right? You're not going to, let your dog out on your front yard necessarily. Usually your back, or your kids will play in the back. So if they're going to keep one, they'll keep the backyard, but they'll, like I said, sort of shrink wrap it down into, you don't need the whole backyard.
A plot of grass amidst other things.
Although we do have on our website a lot of other really great ground covers that are not grass, but give you that same benefit of your kids and dogs can play on it.
Actually, that's true. My friend just replaced hers with artificial turf. But
okay, not that.
No, not that? Okay, why is that bad?
Well, so artificial turf, we do try to stay away from that. It's obviously not natural. It can get very hot. There's no permeability. So when it rains, the water runs right off. It doesn't go down into the ground like we'd like. But there are wonderful plants, beautiful plants that are very similar to grass and give you that sort of green look if that's what you're looking for. That will help cool, allow the water to go down into the ground.
That's so interesting. I always thought turf was kind of gross just because, if you have a dog, I'm just saying.
Right. Well, an artificial turf would be even worse for that. I mean,
that's what I'm talking about, the artificial turf.
Exactly.
That's why, I have a dog. So no, that's not going to happen in my house. But never thought about it in terms of it not being permeable.
Right.
That's really interesting. Okay, we got about a couple minutes left here. What do you want to leave us with, Krista Guerrero? What have I missed?
I really want to just leave everyone with the resource of bewaterwise.com. Whether you're looking to do turf replacement and add trees, or you're looking to make smaller changes inside or outside your home or your business, we have a ton of great resources. We have other rebates as well. So if you're feeling like that's too big of a project for me, I don't feel ready to take out my lawn, we understand. You can get a new smart controller that will help you irrigate more efficiently. You get a new clothes washer or a toilet, all of these things that are just, again, small changes you can make in your home that will help you save water.
What about if you suspect you might have a leak?
The leak is important. Most leaks are toilet leaks. So if you think you have a leak, start with your toilets. And a quick trick for everyone at home is to take some food coloring and put it in the tank. And then wait about 10-15 minutes and then check the bowl. And if there's the food coloring in the bowl, you have a leak in your toilet.
Wow. Okay. Saved us on our plumbing bill there.
It's a good place to start.
Yeah. Krista Guerrero, I really appreciate the conversation. What's good, and I hope this is true for everyone listening, is that it's raised some more questions. So let me think about this and what about that? And so we'll really appreciate that. We can start at bewaterwise.com, bewaterwise.com. And thank you for all the work that you're doing. Really appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Perfect time to call me, 800-920-1580. It is time for news, traffic, and sports on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Nearly 1,000 Americans have reached out to the State Department for help in Haiti, where gang violence has plunged the nation into chaos. A State Department spokesperson says people have been filling out crisis intake forms online as the U.S. tries to get people out on chartered flights. Not all of the people who filled out a form are trying to leave, but many are, and the government continues to evaluate transportation options. Prices on Tesla's best-selling vehicles are going up again. The company's website says the Model Y